Most people skip Turin, or they've never even heard of it. But this region of Piedmont might be one of the most fascinating places you can visit in Italy. And it has everything you could want. You've got museums, royal palaces, world-class restaurants. And then this. Let me show you some of the wonderful things you can do here, both in Turin and just outside it. I'm here in the Turin train station in the Piedmont region of northern Italy. Piedmont, or Piemonte, means foot of the mountain. We are at the foot of the Alps. This region is known for its wine, cheese, truffles, and hazelnuts. And it has a cuisine all its own. There is a lot to see and do here in Turin, but also in the surrounding region. I'm Alyssa. I've lived in Rome since 2001, and I love to share my tips based on lived experience and local culture. Turin is the capital of the Piedmont region, which is in northern Italy. It's close to the Alps and not far from the French border. You can get here easily by train. It's about an hour from Milan, or just under 5 hours from Rome. Turin was once ruled by the French under the House of Savoy. That's why there's a royal palace here, and why the city feels so regal and so French. In 1861, Turin became the first capital of a unified Italy. Its history under the French monarchy, and later as the first capital of Italy, still shapes the city today. And what makes it even more interesting is how easy it is to get out into the surrounding region of Piedmont, where a lot of Italy's best food and wine comes from. Let's start in the city itself. If it's your first time here, there are a few places you'll probably want to start with. If you're visiting Turin, there are a few major sites I highly recommend you fit into your itinerary. The Egyptian Museum in Turin is the second largest in the world after the one in Cairo. There's even an intact Nubian tomb that you can walk through. The royal palace is stunning and gives you a sense of Turin's history as a royal capital. When you visit the royal palace, you can see not just the rooms of the palace itself. There's also an impressive art collection, an archaeological museum, and an historic cafe. And from inside the palace, you can visit what was once the private church of the royal family, where the Shroud of Turin was once kept. Today, the Shroud of Turin is kept in the cathedral below, which is accessible to everyone, although the shroud is not always on display. Another site we love to visit is the Mole Antonelliana, one of the city's most recognizable landmarks. Today, it's home to the International Cinema Museum, and it's well worth a visit. Inside this museum, you can take an elevator all the way to the top for stunning views of the city below. But beyond these main sites, this is really a city you experience just by being in it. For me, what really stands out in Turin isn't just the landmarks, it's the atmosphere. One thing you might notice right away is that it doesn't feel like other Italian cities. The streets are wider, the piazzas are enormous, the layout is more orderly, and a lot of the architecture feels French. That comes from Turin's history under the House of Savoy. The huge, sweeping piazzas, the elegant architecture, the outdoor cafe culture, all remind me of cities in Northern Europe like Paris and Vienna more than they do other cities in Italy. Another thing you'll notice while walking around Torino are all of the porticos. Turin has over 7 miles or 18 kilometers of porticos that offer shade in the summer and shelter from the rain and even snow. The earliest porticos were built in the Middle Ages, but most of them were built under King Victor Emmanuel I. He wanted to be able to walk around without having to carry his umbrella, and he requested his royal architect to come up with a solution. So most of these porticos were built for the king, but now they're for everyone. You could almost cross the entire city being completely covered under the porticos. So while you still get that Italian cafe culture and daily life, the overall feel is a little different, more structured, more understated elegance. Another great way to experience Turin's local culture is to learn about its food. You could start by visiting the Porta Palazzo Market in Piazza della Repubblica, the largest open-air market in all of Europe. So I'm standing here in Piazza della Repubblica, the site of Europe's largest market. It's divided into sections, and I'm currently standing in the farmers market. There's also an indoor section where they sell cheeses and cold cuts, bread, etc. And there are other sections as well, fruit and vegetable vendors that are not farmers, clothes, housewares, etc. The market is open 6 days a week. It's closed on Sundays. And on Mondays, it's a little bit reduced. So today is a Monday, and there are very few farmers here, but there are enough. If I was living here and coming shopping for what I needed to make today, I would find plenty. Also on Mondays, the indoor market is closed, so I'm not going to be able to show you that today. But we can see what the farmers have on offer right now. Everything is in season. They don't have things out of season. They don't have imported goods. This is what the farmers of the area grow and bring to market. You'll also notice that all the fruits and vegetables are whatever shape they are. They don't bring things that are perfectly shaped so that it looks pretty. You'll find fruits and vegetables of all sizes and shapes here. So let's go take a look. So you've got all of these kale, cabbage. We're in March, but it's still kind of wintry. So we've got all of these wintry vegetables. Tomatoes are just starting to come into season, so we're starting to see a few, but not that many. Look at this. Pink radicchio. Oh my God, so beautiful. Got fava beans. This is a spring vegetable. Fennel. Oh, this is so good. It's a celery turnip. So it's a turnip that tastes sort of like celery. It's kind of sweet. Oh, cardi. These are cardoons, which I love. They're kind of related to artichokes. They're a thistle. Look at all these beautiful herbs. Oh, this is lemon-flavored thyme right here. Now, this side of the market is a fruit and vegetable market, but nothing to do with the farmers market where we just were. First of all, this is pretty full. Most of the vendors are here today on a Monday. Second of all, they are selling everything. Imported fruits and vegetables, things that are out of season. We're seeing strawberries, grapes, just a little bit of everything. The thing about this market is that everything is really, really cheap. So much cheaper than at the farmer's market. So as a result, a lot of locals prefer to shop here. See, we've got avocados, mangoes, kiwis, bananas. This is all imported stuff. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm just saying it's not a farmer's market. So these are the last of the artichokes of the season. Oh, here we have some tropical fruit for sale, but really cheap. Look at this kiwis, €1.50 a kilo. I mean, look at the price of these avocados, €1.50 for two, €1 per mango. See what I mean about every shape and size? This is not the market to come to learn what foods are in season in Italy because, again, they have everything. Now, these are in season. These are agretti. They taste like spinach. You boil them and serve them with a little olive oil, salt, and lemon juice. So this shop is excellent for buying gifts, whether for yourself or someone else. It's full of local products, alcohol, baked goods. There are a lot of yummy, yummy things in here. You're going to see lots of cafes with lavazza because lavazza is from here. And one of my personal favorite things to do in Turin is to take a cooking class with a local chef who really knows the cuisine.
And then we do manicaro. 4,
Because we're near
5 and 6, and one more for pot.
Keep driving.
Not too much, I'll just wait for forward the bottom.
But what really makes Turin different from other cities in Italy is what you can do once you leave it. The Piedmont region, especially around Asti and the Langhe, is known for its wine. And visiting wineries here isn't just about tasting, it's about seeing where it all comes from. This is something you can do with a guide, or you can rent a car and figure out your own itinerary. The place is just full of agriturismi, which are places that you can stay, like where we're staying, that are also vineyards. Actually, that's the Italian way of saying wineries. So for me, a visit to this region, if you really want to dedicate yourself to a visit here, I would plan on at least a week. A few days in Turin and a few days out here in the countryside in Piemonte. There are a lot of different towns you can visit like Asti, Alba, Bra, Verduno, etc. Oh yeah, another thing that Turin is famous for is a drink called the biscerin. This is especially wonderful in winter. It's a chocolate, coffee, cream concoction, and it is delicious. And it's not just about wine. Piedmont is also known for its cheeses. Here, you can visit places where cheese is aged and learn how the process works. So I'm in this room where they're aging the cheese. Can you hear this? There's classical music. He studied this, and apparently the cheeses age best with music. And of course, you can engage in some cheese tasting. And then there are truffles, another specialty of this region. You can join a truffle hunt, or you can just enjoy some truffles over some fresh pasta. There's nothing like enjoying a wine tasting with Nebbiolo and Barolo wines and having someone grate fresh truffles over your pasta right in front of you. This is one of those things you really appreciate more when you experience it where the truffles are actually from. What I love about this part of Italy is the pace. You're not just trying to check off monuments. You're sitting down, smelling, tasting, and truly experiencing the land and its culture. If you're thinking about adding this to your trip, here's how I'd do it. Base yourself in Turin for a couple of days to really see the city. Then add 1 to 3 days in the countryside. You can rent a car like we did, or join guided experiences if you prefer not to drive. I'd give it a full week. But even if you only have a few days, I highly recommend adding this to your Italy itinerary. Now it's time to head back home to Rome. Torino is a place you really want to spend a few days, especially if you want to combine it with some time in the countryside. If you're looking to visit Italy a little bit off the beaten track, you want to experience another side where there's still beautiful art and architecture, amazing food and countryside, and not nearly as many tourists as you're going to find in Rome, Florence, Milan, Venice, and the Amalfi Coast, you would be doing yourself a huge favor coming here to Torino. As I said, I'm going back home to Rome, but you could easily combine a visit to Turin with a visit to other places nearby, such as Milan, Venice, the lake regions like Como and Garda. You could visit mountainous areas like the Dolomites, Switzerland, and Austria. And of course, Turin is right below France, so you could combine a visit to Turin with a visit to France. But you can actually make Turin a destination of its own. And if you're looking for help putting together a trip in this area, we can help you do that. I've got a link in the description below where you can get in touch. And if you are planning to visit Florence or Rome on your visit to Italy, I've got lots of videos about those cities on this channel. Just check the description below for our playlists. Thanks for watching and see you at the next video.